Welcome to Inside City Hall, the show where we take a closer look at your city government through the lens of its boards and commissions. In this show, we'll meet the volunteer commissioners and board members who provide expertise and guidance in critical decision-making that affects our community. Journey with us as we take an insider's look into the legislative process. Welcome to another episode of Inside City Hall. Today, we are joined by the members of the Community Policing Advisory Board. Today, we have with us staff member Joe DeVries, Kirby Thompson, Vice Chair Akiba Bradford, and Chair Ravinder Singh. Welcome to you all.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. So on the show, we talk a little bit about the commissions and the boards. I want to jump right into this board. What is the Community Policing Advisory Board? What do you do? What do you stand for?
We take recommendations from the police, the chief of police or the police department, and we implement them into the community because not all policies are a blanket policy that fits every community. Every community has different issues. So that's our job to make sure those policies fit different communities.
So how did this come about? Is there a history with this particular board?
Sure, and I'll answer that question because I'm actually stepping down as the staff member to the board after 7 years. But really, the board started in the 1990s when the city implemented community policing. Community policing was kind of a new concept, and the idea was that officers would be dedicated to work with specific neighborhoods on the issues that they wanted to work on. Neighborhood councils were formed, and then the board was formed as a citywide body to provide support to those councils and to provide input to the city, to hold us accountable, to make sure that we were providing them with the resources that they need. So that was started in the 90s, and it has evolved since then, working with neighborhood watch groups, Merchant Watch, and really just building a relationship so that people's problems are the concern of the department and other city resources. It's not just about the police. It's really about all city departments delivering service effectively in a way that the neighborhood wants it.
So you're broken into sections and areas of Oakland. Do each one of you represent a different district, a different beat, if you will? How does that look?
Yeah, the board is comprised of 15 members when we're fully seated. We have approximately 12 right now. So the mayor appoints people, city council appoints people, Oakland Housing Authority appoints people, and then we have Neighborhood Watch and OUSD, Oakland Unified School District as well. So I'm appointed by District 4 council member, and so I represent District 4, but essentially we represent the entire city of Oakland.
So when you are meeting and you're having your conversations, give us examples of some of the action items that you're working on, Akiba.
Yeah, so some of the things that we work on the CPAB is twofold.
Tell us what a CPAB is.
So the Community Police Advisory Board
Okay.
has opportunities to work on both macro and micro level issues. From a macro level, we are looking at policies, we are, providing recommendations to OPD, we're creating trainings, we're training OPD, but from a micro level, we're really empowering the neighborhoods, councils to reach out to their residents and get them involved and being able to look at some of those initiatives that they may want to take on, whether it's a cleanup, whether it's having an event. Those types of things are very important to us. And so what we do as the CPAB, our Community Police Advisory Board, is we oversee that from both a macro and micro level.
So you're working interdepartmentally, it sounds like. It's not just working with Oakland Police Department. It sounds like you're working with other divisions of the city of Oakland?
Yes, we do. Our whole opportunity is being able to sit down and say, hey, this is a public works issue, or this is, an issue that needs to go to the city administrator's office. We get a chance to work with all departments, but our main focus is really to empower neighborhoods as it relates to, reducing violence.
And Kirby, can you share with us a little bit about your interactions with other departments and with the neighborhood groups? Are you actually coming to the community groups and working there, or do you do more of your work at City Hall? What does that actually look like?
Actually, we work with the NC's neighborhood councils. I'm in beat 3334, and I'm the co-chair there. So we work with those members as well, or that body as well, to see how they are working as well. They actually work with the NSCs, which are neighborhood service councils. So they all got like a little internet and a little working they work with. So that's what I do as well. I relay stuff from this body to that body, and we all go from there.
And all of you are pretty much charged with being a liaison between the community and city officials, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Can you share with us some of the outcomes? What are some of the examples of things that you've brought from their community, directly from someone that you know, a neighbor, your own issues that you've brought to the forum?
Sure. I'm from Beat 22X, which is an Oakland Police Department beat. It's the Diamond District. And within my beat, we have a number of residents who are really committed to ending racial profiling. And that's an issue that isn't necessarily crime related, but it is about safety and about everyone in a neighborhood feeling safe. So they've done a lot of presentations to us, and we've taken that information to the Oakland Police Department, and we've taken it to the mayor, we've taken it to elected officials about how do we end racial profiling, especially on social networks like Nextdoor and places like that. So we worked with council members to try to address these issues with the social media and people reporting neighbors as possible criminal acts. So those are ways in which we've done that.
And Joe, as a staff liaison, do you see things differently from the way that they're describing how they bring important issues to the table? What are you using as your fact finding?
Well, for me, I really try to just provide technical support to the board because I understand how the inside of City Hall works, and I will see an issue bubbling up that needs to be worked on. So several years ago, after the recession, we lost the money that went to neighborhood councils. So each council used to get a small amount of money each year to pay for mailings and flyers and events, and that dried up. And we solved that problem trying to do their work without that money. So this board went to the city council and lobbied to get that money back, and they were successful. Then the board had to work with those neighborhood groups to develop standards for how to spend that money. So that's a tangible example of where we needed to make sure they had the proper inroad to the city council, make sure that the controller's office was providing standards by which the money could be spent, making sure the neighborhood service coordinators had cards to spend it on or an invoice system. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts that the staff's responsible to do. But the need came from the community and was heard by the board, and then the board lobbied the city, and that's the role.
Lots of checks and balances on your part.
Sure.
So I'm being checked into a break right now. We are going to take a break, and we will be back to finish speaking with the Community Policing Advisory Board soon. Welcome back to Inside City Hall. Once again, we are joined today by the board members of the Community Policing Advisory Board. So before the break, we were talking a bit about what your commission does, and now I have some specific questions about the councils. So I know during break we were talking about neighborhood councils, the police department, the neighborhood services. Tell us a little bit about that, and what does that look like?
Sure. Kirby started talking about this earlier when you asked the question. Essentially, the Community Policing Advisory Board is actually working with the Oakland Police Department directly and with Neighborhood Services, which is a department in the city of Oakland. And the way we work with the community in Oakland is through neighborhood councils. So the Oakland Police Department has divided the city up into beats, and neighborhood councils are within these beats. And so we work with the neighborhood councils, and in order to implement the work that the Oakland Police Department is doing and the things that we're hearing from the community, we actually go through neighborhood services. And they have staff in each one of these beats. And we work with them, and we take issues from the community to the Oakland Police Department, and then we take issues that the Oakland Police Department is raising citywide back into the neighborhood councils.
So is the neighborhood council, are they made up of specific neighbors in neighborhoods? Is it by the police beat? How is that broken up, Kirby?
If I'm not mistaken, Joe can probably help. It's broken up by district, if I'm not mistaken, Joe. Districts
and then beats.
and beats.
Yeah.
And
Districts and beats.
Districts and beats.
So as an example, the Diamond District, Laurel District, give
Old
me some.
Oakland.
Old Oakland.
Like in West
Elmhurst.
Oakland.
Okay.
I'm in Elmhurst, which is District 7.
Okay.
So that's,
And then what's the relationship with the police department and your neighborhood councils and your council members? Is there any overlap? Is there any connection with this board and our council members?
our relationship is very good because we have encouraged the chief to attend our meetings as much as she can.
The chief of police.
The chief of police.
Okay.
We understand she has schedules or conflicts or schedules where she can't come, but she's been very good at coming to our meetings, which is very good for morale for the members of the board as well, to see her there and get her input on the work we're doing.
And
In addition, like the council members, you know, they are represented through us who are appointed to these boards, right? So we are appointed by a council member. I'm appointed by Council Member McElhaney, who represents West Oakland downtown. And that ability to represent West Oakland and go to the neighborhood crime prevention councils that are in West Oakland helps me to have a clearer understanding of what are the issues facing the residents in West Oakland. Those West Oakland residents, they are already a part of their neighborhood crime prevention councils. So we're feeding information back to each other and then being able to feed that information and recommendations to Oakland Police Department, to the City Council on how they can, you know, do a better job in creating a better relationship.
That makes a lot of sense. So how does the average Oaklander, the average Oakland resident who has concerns or issues, how will they get involved? What is your advice to them to get them either connected with you or connected through one of the neighborhood council?
I think the first thing a resident is going to identify is if there is a problem. Most people who have no problems are like, yeah, I'm living life. I don't need to involve city council or involve neighborhood crimes or anyone in my business or life. But when you find yourself having the problem, the nuisance problem, and a problem with, you know, trash, or problem, you know, someone's dogs keep coming in your neighborhood or your yard or something, those are issues that, you know, you might want to take to your neighborhood crime prevention council. There's officers who are community resource officers, staff, and you know, show up to our neighborhood crime prevention council meetings, and as a result of that, they're on the ground being able to assist you when it comes to resolving those issues. You have an issue with somebody next door, you know, they're already in the community because they're out doing calls for service, but when it comes to the ability for you all to kind of start looking at solutions, you want to clean up this park, you want more trees on this particular part, you want more lighting, there's those things that could help create and prevent crime, and those things should be going to your neighborhood crime prevention councils. So one, you identify if you have a problem. One, you identify where your neighborhood crime prevention council meets. And then if you find that, you know, your neighborhood crime prevention council has, you know, opportunity to, you know, elevate their concerns in policy form or want to really elevate that citywide, you can come to the Community Police Advisory Board, and we would love to work with them to be able to create a policy that could then be standard and prevent crime in general.
That was, I really appreciate that. Very good information for getting involved.
And if
Go
I
ahead.
can add one more thing, I encourage a lot of my neighbors to join the CPA, which is the Citizen Police Academy, because once you join that, you learn how the police department actually works from the back of it, not just from the outside. You get to go in the ride along the police department. You get to go to the call center, which is on Hagenberger. So a lot of things you get to see behind the scenes of how the actual Oakland Police Department actually works, and it helps you with the transition of our job as well, makes it easier as well.
And I'm glad you brought that in, because that's actually one of the questions that I wanted to bridge between the two of you is, Akiba, you said if you have a problem, when you're identifying a problem, because most people are just kind of going through life. If they've got nothing wrong, they're not thinking about these groups. it sounds to me that if I'm living in a neighborhood, I should want to be a part of this and know what you're doing regardless of whether I have a problem or not. So how do we encourage folks to get involved? Should they come to a meeting? Should we go and meet our neighborhood council representatives? What is the best way to identify or get myself involved before I have a conflict or a problem?
Yeah, there's lots of ways.
Yeah, well, I would say just on a rudimentary level, go to the city's website, go to the
Right.
police department page, and there you can type in your beat and you can find out your address and you can find out what beat you live in. And there's a list of where the meetings are, who your neighborhood services coordinator is, their contact information, and go to the meeting and meet your neighbors. I mean, that's the first most basic thing. And then you hear what people are talking about, and then you can see where people are collaborating already on, and on what issues they're collaborating on, and that's really the most simple way to do it.
Right, and I would add, Oakland's a really community-centered city. And so just talking to your neighbors, and hopefully after watching tonight's program, you can see that, how to get involved, and you'll hear about neighborhood councils and you'll pay attention. But usually most of the neighborhood councils have signs up that make you aware of the meetings that are happening, but neighbors know about us, and then the police department knows about us. So there's lots of ways to contact us and contact neighborhood councils.
And I like the little plug by Joe. So definitely go
Yeah.
onto our website at oaklandca.gov to get more information. We're good time for a break. We'll come back and talk a little bit more about the personal side. Why does this commission call your name? Why does this board draw you in, and why did you decide to serve? You are watching Inside City Hall. We will come back and finish speaking with the members of the Community Policing Advisory Board.
Hi, my name is Ivana Cáceres, and I'm the Director of Community Engagement with the Mayor's Office in the City of Oakland. I'm here to invite you to apply for our boards and commissions. We have about 35 of them, and we believe there's a board or commission for everyone, and we really want to make sure that our boards and commissions reflect the diversity of Oakland. So how do you apply? You head to our city's website, you'll see boards and commissions, click on that. That page will have a listing of all of our boards and commissions, and you'll be able to see what the requirements are, what the meeting times are, if there are any vacancies. Read through those, see which ones interest you, and you can apply for one of them by clicking on the green apply button, or you can apply for a few all at once. You'll be asked to submit your resume as well as a couple sentences of why you're interested, and then once you hit submit, we'll get the application and you'll get a confirmation that you've applied. It takes about 2 to 3 months for us to review the application. The review is handled by either the staff liaison to the board or the board chair or nominating committee, and they're just trying to see that your interests match up and also your qualifications match up with the requirements of the board. That then gets sent to the mayor and I. We prepare a letter of appointment, she'll sign it, and then the ultimate approval and vote is done by City Council. Then the City Clerk's office helps you get sworn in and sign any necessary paperwork. So we want to encourage you to apply. There is a board and commission for everyone. We definitely want people who want to help local government and believe in local government. Boards and commissions work on things that Oaklanders care about, whether it's libraries, parks. There are a number of boards that were created by voter mandates. For example, Measure H created the Sugar Sweetened Beverage Tax Advisory Board. Measure LL created the Police Commission. But ultimately, each board has its own unique set of requirements, and we're really seeking folks from all sorts of life experiences and backgrounds to be a part of each board. So again, we encourage you to apply, and if you have any questions, you can always reach out to the mayor's office and myself. So we hope to see you and your application coming in, and then you'll be able to join the 300+ team of excellent volunteers for the City of Oakland.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. Once again, we are joined by the board members of the Community Policing Advisory Board. And during the break, we were talking a little bit about some of your wins. Tell me some things that you're really proud of that you've been able to accomplish on this board. Anyone.
Yeah, we've had some great wins on the Community Police Advisory Board. One of the wins that stand out to me is, particularly being the chair of the Finance Committee, is being able to lobby City Council to increase our budget. And so we were able to get 30.4% increase in our budget for the biennial year, which is just amazing. I also think another win is memorable to me is being able to train OPD. We created a curriculum and was able to train our officers this year. So it's been just, I feel like we're rocking and rolling, and I think that we're being able to truly see our work take effect internally and externally.
That's excellent. What will the increased funding do for you?
So the increase of our funds means that our neighborhood crime prevention councils can have a little bit more of an allotment to put on activities, events, to bring in speakers, to do anything that they feel is going to help to get their initiatives out there, whether it's outreach, but be able to truly get the community involved.
And I think, Kirby, you were talking a little bit about outreach. Tell us what you were saying about the outreach in the community and how that works.
Well, we coordinate with the neighborhood service coordinators, and outreach is a door-to-door program. And we do that with the police escorts because it's not safe to just walk door-to-door alone. So we do have to schedule a police escort to go door-to-door. In each beat, we go door-to-door. We select a neighborhood, a certain neighborhood that has maybe more issues than others from what we hear at the NCs, which is neighborhood council meetings. So we'll target that neighborhood and we'll go out with flyers and encourage them to come to our meetings. Our meetings in my district is every other month, the third Wednesday of the month. So we send out those flyers and encourage the neighborhoods to come out to the meetings. So it helps. So the more they get involved, the more they get to know.
And is that how you got involved? How did you get involved with being on this board?
I got involved because in my community, I'm in District 5. There are a lot of issues in District 5, from abandoned cars to homelessness. Every crime you can think of is in my district. And there's no soldiers, so I volunteer as a soldier to work as an NC. I'm a co-chair of it. And from the co-chair, they recommended me to this board. And now I'm on this board doing the same thing. It was so much going on. We do not have enough foot soldiers in our beat. We're constantly looking for more people.
So you took this as a personal call to action for yourself.
Yes.
How about others? How did you get involved with this particular board?
Sure. I've been a resident of Oakland for over 12 years now, and when I bought my first home in Oakland, I was a victim of crime. It was a big crime spree during I think back in 2012 to 2015. And I just wanted to know how to get involved. And so I started talking to neighbors, and neighbors said, hey, there's this thing called the Neighborhood Crime Prevention Council, or what we call neighborhood councils now. And that helped me link up with other neighbors so we could solve our problems, think about solutions that were local to us in the community. But during that time, I also got involved with an interesting effort that I found personally rewarding, which was we had formed a group that was really looking at racial profiling, like I mentioned earlier. And these are a group of dedicated individuals in my community who want to say we all belong. The city of Oakland's a diverse place, and that you shouldn't mistake someone by their race or by their gender and automatically assume that they're a criminal. Because when there's a heightened time of crime, you automatically want to be feeling secure. But I think that work was so important, and I think that work is really part of community policing. How do you create safe neighborhoods for everyone?
I got involved because, I'm born and raised in East Oakland. Being a native here has taught me one thing. One, you have to start looking at change from all sides of any issue. And for me, I am a first generation individual to not get incarcerated or become incarcerated. So for me, my entire life has been around incarceration. And for me, it was like, how can I stop this cycle? And so for me, it was to get involved and to start to know more about what the police department actually does. And for me, I see that the relationship has been so fragmented on the ground for both the community and law enforcement. And for me, it was personal. It was personal from the standpoint of me seeing my family become victimized by police officers, but by there being a distrust in general of police officers. And then there was me who went away, went to college, came back home, and wanted to help my community and make it better. And what other place than to work on a board as the Community Police Advisory Board to start creating systemic change. I'm a data researcher at heart. I'm the person who wants to know about the numbers, what kind of methodologies. I'm that type of person who wants to know about those things because I think that it will help. And so for me, coming with the systemic lens on things has helped me to be able to come to this board and say, you know what, if I'm going to be on this board representing West Oakland, then are representing all of Oakland. Let's look at the data, let's look at the practices, let's look at how we can, our internal inner workings of the board, and see how we can come to some type of conclusion of how we can create some change, and can we create it in a collaborative form. And that's what I think we're doing. That's the strength that lies in this board, being able to change the relationship between community and law enforcement.
I love it. Well, Joe DeVries, you were not a volunteer. This is your job. So it's a little different for you, but tell us about your desire or why you enjoy this. You are stepping down soon. It's been 7 years.
That's right.
Tell us how you got involved.
Well, I actually got involved when I first was hired, when I came to Oakland back in 1996. I was hired by a city council member when community policing was being implemented. And he was chair of the Public Safety Committee. And he wanted to see that, he wanted community policing to work. He especially wanted it to work in his district. So as his aide, I was required to go to every neighborhood crime prevention council in his district every month. A lot of late nights. But what I learned and what it trained me as a young man with a ponytail, which I don't have anymore, to learn about neighborhoods and to walk these streets and to know what people really care about. And I really think that's where the strength of our community lies. And if we can take that and bring it to the city to affect change and policy change and institutional change, then we're doing a good thing. I mean, it really is direct input. And so I've got a lot of historical institutional knowledge. I think Tanya Gilmore is going to do a fantastic job as their staff. She's taking over. Tanya staffs the Safety and Services Oversight Committee, which oversees the violence prevention dollars. So there's a natural connection between these two boards. And I know that for our office, we're hoping that Tanya staffing this board and that other board will help to create some of that synergy. But I'll still be around. I'll still be going to NCPC meetings.
Excellent. I love it. Well, you all have been extremely open. I appreciate your candor. I appreciate you sharing with us. I do know that we mentioned that there are 3 seats vacant right now.
Yes.
So there are 3 seats vacant. You can go online to oaklandca.gov and look under the boards and commissions and apply to be on this particular board. Again, we thank you very much for sharing. Thank you for your time. Thank you for what you give to us as Oakland residents. We really appreciate it. On behalf of the city and on behalf of residents, we thank you for your time volunteering with us.
Thank you.
This has been another episode of Inside City Hall. We look forward to seeing you again soon.